I was worried about them trying to take Trumpism and just as soon as it's out of the picture, going back to Mitt Romney, Paul Ryanism. But it's clear what the plan is now. Just keep it MAGA, keep it Trump.
Keep the branding. Keep the branding.
Keep the brand name, but just completely make it the opposite of what, it's George Bush with only it's called Make America Great Again. And you see that. It's funny because, let me just say.
It's working.
What's her name? Yeah, it is working. Ivanka, the thing in the Kushner book saying about how Ivanka once says she sees it as the part of the start of a political dynasty. Well, of course it's going to be. I mean, if people think that first of all, the Trumps can't go back to real estate now. When Trump is out of office, you're going to see Mike Pence try to say, I'm like an even better version of Trump because I love the even more than him, and capitalism. No more of that fair trade stuff, that was holding our economy back.
I wouldn't be surprised if they create a new network or website or media outlet
AmericaFirst.com
with
something.
Trump branding, with actual, because remember they were even talking about Trump TV as something that they might do if Trump lost. I would not be surprised if they do a Trump TV eventually. They actually literally brand it with his name. And that's the new Republican Party. And it will ultimately morph back into basic bitch Zionism. Conservatives, not even basic bitch. Hyper Zionism.
That's what TPUSA really represents, is that kind of, accuse your opponent of being a socialist, but at the same time support a massive military budget for Zionist wars. And then this kind of nonsense that's not really starting to it's not really growing any legs, but you can totally see them trying to jam that back into the box.
So the thing I wanted to get to, we were talking about Israel and Gaza. So this the news exploded a couple of days ago with 4 Jews killed by 600 rockets fired by Hamas from Gaza into Israel. Now, of course, when we're talking about rockets, we're talking about like cylinders, pipes filled with gunpowder, homemade things that they fire in. These are not advanced rockets. These Qassam rockets. They basically make these by hand because they don't have any nations dealing big armaments to them the way Israel does. Also, this was a retaliatory attack by Hamas. The Israel struck first, and the Drudge Report did something very dishonest. Ryan Dawson had a great video on this. The Drudge Report put the large explosion from the Israeli bombs hitting Gaza, and then they put under it the headline, Hamas attacks Israel. And so this is Israel's international PR, which is basically the entire U.S. media. Israel knows that they attacked first, and Hamas knows that the attacked first, and that this was a retaliation. So it was an effective one because they hit 4 targets. But this was not Hamas just randomly shooting rockets, which is what they would have you believe. So now there's some sort of ceasefire or whatever they've got.
It's so amazing how the principle that they use against us on a small scale, where they attack you and when you respond, you're the demon. They use that in geopolitics in the same fashion. It's remarkable.
It's how they are, man. They cry out as they strike you, and this became a saying for a reason. And it's not just remarkable. It actually is so enraging. It's like deeply, fundamentally inside my soul enraging to me. That it is actually something that motivated me when I started to see this around the time of Middle East strife in the early 2000s, after 9/11 and the Iraq War and such, and see, this is what started me down the path to where I am now. And when I discovered, and I knew pretty early on this was a element doing this, I didn't understand the full scope of it, but this started me down the path, and I saw the hypocrisy, I saw the blatant lying, I saw the double standards. I saw the total lack of care, and just this. It's enraging. Is no other word for it.
Yeah, that's why like some people might criticize me in saying that all you do is talk about blah blah blah. But show me whatever problems every other group has. Show me who can even be in the same league.
No,
I mean, because it's one thing. It's one thing to be a creature of instinct and just be violent for whatever reason. That's what it is. But the sheer malice is what angers me. Yeah. That's that sheer malice, that relationship to the truth, where someone says something to you and you just pretend not to hear them. Like that's how operate, and it's sickening.
Yeah,
I'll tell you guys.
Unbelievable.
I'll tell you guys something funny about, first of all, I totally agree that the thing of the injustice of what those people what they do. You watch on I was watching RT had a bunch of clips of the rockets actually hitting in Israel, or in Gaza rather, and you can't imagine that kind of terror raining down on you, not knowing if it's how it's gonna hit a school or what But I'll tell you something funny. I went, this was a number of years back, I went and protested AIPAC when they were meeting in full session. And I went down there with a friend of mine from college who is a Muslim guy who's very brown. And it was just him and me, the two of us. And we were old friends, And we went down there, and I had a sign that was a Dump Israel sign, but I also was wearing some right-wing paraphernalia. And he went down there with a Palestinian and an American flag. And we were going to join with some protesters, but they had already, I think, left for the day, the Answer Coalition people. So we went and we stood on a street corner. And as we stood there, the doors opened to AIPAC. And I guess they were it was their lunchtime or something. But next thing you know, thousands of are pouring across the street at the crosswalk, looking at us standing there and all, giving us dirty looks, saying things. And this is the most amazing story. It comes up to me because I think I had some Trump stuff on. And he said this to me. He starts talking to me, "Hey, man, why are you wearing that? Why are you standing there with that Muslim guy? Because, I'm I support Trump too. I'm with you, man. We got to stand together against against the Muslims, the Islamic threat." I mean, this is while there's hundreds of walking by, and we're standing there, me and my Muslim friend, back to back. And this was talking to me about this while he's having this conversation. Some leftist starts talking to my friend and saying, literally, we have to, hey, man, why are you standing there with this white guy with the Trump stuff? We got to stand together against these white nationalists, these haters, Trump and this white supremacy.
Right.
I mean, They were literally one on one side, one on the other, them trying to talk each other and really trying to, because they were both it really disturbed them. It shook them up that we were standing, and I've known this guy for 15 years, so they're not going to divide us against each other, but they're both there making this, and both attendees at AIPAC. And that's why we have to watch out for any fractures we see, whether it's man versus woman or woman versus man, or young people talking shit about boomers, or boomers shitting on the younger people. Listen, we're all guilty of it. There are contradictions that are inherent, but we have to make sure these ne'er-do-wells, these Zionists, they can't break our unity. We have to make sure that we're immunized and that we know when we're being manipulated against each other, and when, the difference between that and light banter. We have to know that, and there has to be a hard line.
Yeah, and
because they are constantly prodding. They're constantly prodding for weaknesses, and their number one weapon, because there's just not many in the world. They can't be in power without causing mass class struggle, and I don't mean that in the economic sense, but class struggle in all the ways you can think of. Now, it's not even just class struggle between women and men. Now you have they're inventing new genders to divide people up even further.
They have to create divisions and fractures, and they have to create sides and camps, and they have to get people fighting amongst themselves to maintain power. This is something we've seen. We don't need to go much further with it, but this is what they do. And
how about Trump? How about Trump's endorsement, though, of this? I mean, just Trump has pulled everything. It's not just on Palestine and that, but on every issue. A number of people have made the point that Obama was actually better on even issues like immigration and gun control. I mean, Trump is so cartoonishly bad right now. And
he's so bad because what happened is, now you could argue on immigration, but Obama was better on immigration, if that's true, because he just kept with the flow of how things,
status quo.
Things were going.
Quo.
What Trump did was he set up a fight on immigration, but then he didn't fight. So the left brought all their guns to bear, and then Trump just didn't show up for the fight. So they just rushed through. So they're like, we've got to organize these migrant caravans. We got to organize this propaganda. We got to push people. We got to get all these NGOs. We got to activate all of our resources to get all of these, Central and South Americans into America. We got to activate all resources to do that. And Trump's not even there to fight it on the other side. So his rhetoric inflamed them, and then they're just barreling through. And of course he's doing that thing. The classic conservative thing is the outlet is Israel, and only really now I know let's not divide by generation or whatever, but only really boomers fall for this, where they allow all of their whatever nascent nationalistic feeling they have to be filtered into feeling about Israel, and they're encouraged to do that. They're encouraged to do that by the media, by their churches, etc. And so Trump is now. Literally, if you listen to him talk about his accomplishments, it's all stuff he's done for Israel. And when you look at conservative punditry, they all talk about the amazing accomplishments for Israel and like refunding the military, getting tough on Iran, moving the embassy, everything else he's done. And now this whole bullshit jingoism on Iran. I know you got a point, Stryker, but I wanted to talk about the total unfeasibility of a successful.
Just a quick point I'd make about Trump is what I always say about him is that he's always talking to people, like he's always going up to random people and like talking to their girl and talking to the guy and what are you going to do about it? But then when it pops off, he's the first one to run away and leaves his friends with the fight. Like that's the kind of guy Trump is, and that's why I think that I'm glad a lot of people have jumped off the Trump train.
Dude, everybody's off the train.
Nothing but trouble. He's been nothing but trouble. He's escalated the tension, and yet nothing but bluster behind that.
Yeah, but on some level, here's another thing I want to say on Trump, though. On some level, we gotta attack the guy. We gotta continuously attack the guy. We gotta not cry in our cups over it either. It's over. He's done. Right. Let's not feel pity and let's not wallow in it. Like it's done. He's done. We fell for it to some extent, some more than others. I'm not denying I fell for it.
We got a lot of mileage out of him, though. We got a lot of mileage. He got a lot of mileage out of us. We got a lot out of him.
Well, you could close your eyes and cry all you want, but when you wake up tomorrow, it's still going to be the same way.
Exactly. So what are we going to do?
Move forward. You can accept it, deny it, or not, or engage it. So we have to just confront what we have, what's on the table.
So now
Mike, this is what I was going to say. Let me just. What I was going to say before the break.
With what you said about we got mileage out of Trump. With the conflicts were escalated, and all of this stuff. And so we got our thing out of him, and he got out of whatever. But I'm not done. I'm not doing this self-pity thing. Like, when is Trump going to do this? He's not going to. Okay, just assume that, and then what are we going to do?
Well, this is the thing I wanted to say, that the joke's on them, and this is what I was going to say before we took a little break, is that, you got us, you tricked us, you turned MAGA back into neoconservatism, you got, all this for the 1%, the Jewish billionaires, banks, more foreign wars, more immigration, all of it. You got us, boy, you got white America, you really pulled the fast one. But guess what? The things that led to Trump in the first place, the things that led to Obama beating Hillary in the first place, was the discontent among the people, and the rising politicization of the people is caused by the fact that these policies, these neoliberal policies, are making people's lives worse. And compared to the late 90s, when everybody was making money and it was still way more white than it is now, and people were still comfortable and they were totally checked out of politics, compared to after the recession, after 9/11, after the Iraq War, after this huge sucking of wealth from the middle class to the top, and the impoverishment of everybody else, and then now the social fragmentation of everybody else. Guys can't meet a decent girl, and everybody's dying of drug overdoses. We're living in this crumbling dystopia, and that's the thing. You manage to keep the ruling class in power a little bit longer, but guess what? All the consequences are still going to catch up. The people are still going to be miserable. You can censor their opinions. Their lives are going to continue to suck. And unless that is fixed, which it's not going to be, but in the nature of this system, it devours itself. The hatred is going to grow anew from the people, and people are going to be looking for answers and questions. And we're going to be there to provide those answers and those questions, no matter how, what they do to shut us down. So